Hello book nerds, I am back. I am in a new location and I am here with a book review. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to be doing a book review. I said I would try to do more book reviews on this channel, and part of that reason is I am now part of the Fiction Guild. The Fiction Guild is a readers, bloggers, reviewers group put on through Thomas Nelson and Zondervan publishing companies, which I believe do mainly Christian publishing works. So through Sarah Ella, I connected with that and I joined the Fiction Guild, which is really exciting because once a month they send you a book to review. You have no idea what book you're getting. You kind of select your preferences when you sign up for it, so you don't really know and you kind of guess and see what's going to be coming. So it's kind of exciting. So I wanted to be more diligent and accountable in doing that, as well as posting those reviews on my channel as well as part of my blogging review. So I want to do the Fiction Guild book reviews as well as other books and book reviews that I stumble upon. I want to be doing more of those as well. Today, however, I will be reviewing The Mountain Midwife by Laurie Eakes. I can't say her last name. I'll post the Goodreads link in the down bar. I'm not gonna try. And I'm terrible at pronunciation, so it will be there. It will be there. And if you know how to say it, let me know, because I don't. But I will be reviewing The Mountain Midwife today. This was sent to me by the Fiction Guild in the month of December to review. So I'm going to admit here that when I opened up The Mountain Midwife, I was actually kind of disappointed. I was really excited to be getting sent books for review and to be reviewing these books. So when I opened The Mountain Midwife, it was a thriller-esque contemporary romance, which I don't read. I don't typically grab for contemporary. When I do, it's very rare, and it either has to be really good for me to enjoy contemporary, and I really don't grab for mystery thriller romances, which is kind of popular in the Christian fiction world right now. So I can see why a lot of people were excited for this. I hadn't even heard of it until I opened my package. But I was going to give it a try. I was going to go into it with an open mind and of course not knowing much about it. So I didn't have any reviews or hype or anything. So I was kind of going in on it on my own. And you never know with books. Sometimes you end up finding a book you loved and it would be a book that you never would have picked up on your own. So I gave it a shot and here are my thoughts. So for The Mountain Midwife, initially I gave it a 2.5 rating. However, I have now bumped that up to a 3-star rating because I realized it was really hard for me to put it down, so I give it props for keeping my attention and keeping me intrigued in the book. This book is about Ashley Tolliver, who is a midwife in the Appalachian Mountains. The women in her family have been midwives for over 200 years, helping the women in these mountains. But Ashley wants to do more to help these women. She wants to go to medical school, which she had been putting off to help her mom after her grandma passed away with the midwifery. So she put that off for a while and now she wants to go, and she's just kind of hoping God lays out the pieces so that she can go and do what she thinks He is calling her to do. The story also connects to Hunter McDermott, who in his 15 minutes of fame of being in the right place at the right time gets a mysterious phone call from a woman claiming to be his birth mother, which to him is a mystery because he has both his parents. So he discovers a little bit more about himself and a little bit of a mystery, which leads him to seek out the midwife whose family was responsible for his birth to find answers. And of course, Ashley and Hunter meet through this. The beginning of the book opens up with Ashley helping a mysterious young man and young girl who is on the verge of giving birth and is in serious danger. The girl has just given birth and is bleeding too much, and Ashley goes to seek out help, but before she can get the girl help, the girl and the guy both disappear while the girl being in physical and mortal danger. So Ashley has this mystery of what happened to the young girl and the young guy, and Hunter has this mystery of this woman claiming to be his birth mother, and the two of them kind of get thrown in together. I didn't mind the story, I have to admit. Like I said before, it kept me going. I like the mystery element to it. There was moments where I'd put it down, go to bed, but then I'd stay up thinking about what happened next and wanting to get there. So it did keep me engaged, and I kept wanting to read it because I kept wanting to find out what was going to happen. So I really enjoyed it that way, and that's why I gave it the 3-star rating. Laurie Alice's writing is also quite engaging and quite well done. I thoroughly enjoyed her writing style and how she engaged you as a reader. So her writing style was excellent. There was a couple moments though with her writing style that I found repetitive and also overdone. It's really hard for me to describe, but for an example, she used the phrase save for instead of except for. And I found that phrase to be a little out of place in this type of storyline when you're talking about people misjudging people's stereotypes of being redneck mountain people and him being a preppy Washington DC person. So you got this like battle of the stereotypes. So you're expecting some of these people to live up to that rednecky mountain stereotype, and then you have this phrase save for, which doesn't seem to fit. To me, that phrase sits better in a historical fantasy and historical fiction or medieval fiction. Those type of books is where that phrase fits. So it seemed really out of place. And then there was other words that I hadn't even heard of to describe very simple things or very everyday things. And it just blew my mind. I'm looking at this word, and had it been out of context, I wouldn't have even known what this was. And for the book and for the type of characters that we had in this book, again, those words felt very out of place. So aside from those 2 issues I had with the writing style, it was still a phenomenally written book. The mystery element to it was also really well done. It had moments in it where it kept me going. I had a couple times where I could piece stuff together, but it was a good piecing together because you had enough clues to actually get to that part. And then there was moments where like, oh, I totally didn't see that coming, which I enjoy. I enjoy things happening that I didn't see coming. So I had a lot of those elements that I really enjoyed. Being a Christian fiction book, there is a spiritual and faith element to this book, but it was pretty surface level. There wasn't anything too deep or too theological or anything that kind of grabbed you by the heartstrings or anything. It was very surface level, mentioning of God had you where he needed you, God will guide you and put the places together where he wants you to go, saying a quick prayer, being at a church meeting. There wasn't anything that kind of stood out as overly spiritual, theological, or any of those books that kind of give you a life lesson thrown into the story. So it was pretty basic, but a well done faith element that mixed very well into the story. The characters, however, I found I couldn't connect with them. I had a lot of trouble identifying and connecting with Ashley. At first I kind of identified with her because she was literally my age. I think she was 28 or 29 in the book and still single and living on her own and all these things. And I'm not technically living on my own, but being 29 and being single and having these goals and ideas and visions of what you have for your life. So I kind of identified with Ashley on that, but then I kind of lost that identity with her because she was that girl that the town loved. All these women appreciated her. The pastor adored her. Her church family just adored her. She was kind. She was a woman of integrity. She had men who had crushes on her and were in love with her, but she either didn't see it or was too busy for them. So she was somebody that everybody loved. And even though that could possibly happen in some cases in real life, it really doesn't happen all that much. So it was an unrealistic look at her character, and it just kind of annoyed me that she was this perfect person of integrity and character that just kind of everybody loved. So it just got a little bit annoying. And Hunter was very similar. He was a very successful young man. He was also single and either slightly older than my age group or whatnot, but again, he was somebody with extreme success, who was well thought of, from a well thought of family, from a very successful family, and kind of had it all made. And his character and integrity were also strongly intact, and he didn't really have any character flaws or anything that made him real or relatable. So I had a lot of problems relating with these characters. And the side characters are mostly Ashley's patients. So there was just pregnant woman after pregnant woman, and I kind of got lost of who was who, and I just could not connect, sympathize, or anything with these characters because I just got them all mixed up and couldn't keep them apart. Now the next few things that I didn't necessarily like about the book, but they weren't necessarily bad things, they were just kind of things that bothered me, and they would have been a 4-star rating for me had these two things kind of been panned out a little bit better. The first thing that annoyed me is that there's too many little slow parts split out between the actual adrenaline parts where you're solving this mystery and trying to figure out what's happening. And I just wanted to get to the part where we figure out what's happening, so those little slow parts kind of dragged on and kind of dragged the story down a bit. But you did have that relationship building with Ashley and Hunter in there as well. So again, they did serve their purpose, but you were just kind of like, come on, people are on a time crunch, let's get going, and you didn't think the characters understood you. So that was just my personal preference. I wanted to kind of keep going and get out there and solve this thing. And then the other thing I really didn't like more was how the climax of the book... And we're back. The last thing that was kind of a downer for me was that the climax of the book, when everything is happening, the kind of car chase part of the movie part where everything is getting solved and we're down to the wire, was literally the last 2 chapters of the book. So you got everything solved, you have everything happening, and you're getting everything pieced together, and then everything wrapped up so nice and so perfect, and it was the end of the book. And nothing else throughout the book. They had multiple little story threads threaded throughout here, and none of those got wrapped up or tied off. Nothing. And you're left wondering what happened to everybody. You had the main plot and the main story and the main mystery solved, but it kind of happened right at the end of the book and then down. So you had the slow build, you had the climax, and then we're done. And that was kind of disappointing to me. It would have done with one more chapter just to wrap up some of the other stuff, or an epilogue, kind of what happened after everything and how everything happened. So I would have liked at least one more chapter or an epilogue just to wrap up some of the other stuff a little bit better. And then of course everything worked out so perfectly for the characters. Ashley and Hunter both got what they wanted or what they didn't know that they needed in the end, and it just kind of wrapped up a little bit too nicely for me. It was all packaged very well. So that was the only thing that kind of bothered me. But again, the writing, the intrigue, the dragging me on, the keeping me up at night because I needed to know what was happening, made it a decent read. I liked it. So I surprised myself and actually enjoyed it. For a content rating, it is actually quite clean, and any swearing or cursing was kind of alluded to. So he cursed under his breath or he muttered a curse. So you actually don't know or even what is hinted to what that character actually said. You just know he swore. Clean for language, and I would say a little bit mild for sexual content. Although both of these characters were perfect integrity in character, they hardly ever spent enough alone time in the same house or hotel or anything together, so there was not even a chance for anything to happen, and there was just some kissing, but other than that, it was a relatively mild. The reason it's a mild sexual content is because there's 2 cases of adultery and what happens with that in there. There's also mention of possible abuse to one of the characters, possibly sexual assault, possibly abuse. It was kind of alluded to that you couldn't really figure out if she was meaning sexual assault or just abuse in general. So again, that's kind of a warning there as well. The other thing that I found a little bit too graphic for my liking was the description of the births and the miracle of life. There was just a little bit too much detail for me. I really didn't need to know about how much blood or the placenta or positions for birthing, so it was just a little TMI for me personally. And yeah, but it's called the Mountain Midwife, so you know that she's going to be dealing with births and pregnant women, so I understood that. Heads up if you're squeamish about medical procedures, because I was a little turned off by that. But of course, aside from everything else, I guarantee it a clean read for young adult or adult as well. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody in the junior high, middle grade-ish. It's a little too grown up for that, but adult and higher high school, it is an excellent book. It's got some great faith elements mixed in to a really good thriller story, and it does have characters with really good integrity and character, and just squeaky clean as well. So I would definitely recommend this, even though it wasn't my personal favorite, wasn't a book I would normally pick up. I already have several friends in mind who I would highly recommend this book to because I know that they would enjoy. So like I said, you never know when you would find something hidden. So don't be afraid to try something you wouldn't pick up on your own. Alright guys, that is it for me today. Please let me know if you have any feedback to give me about giving a book review. I haven't done very many because I haven't been overly comfortable doing them. So if you would like some more information on the Mountain Midwife, the Fiction Guild, or how I rate content in books, let's chat it up in the comments below or send me a tweet. I will leave all those links in the description bar below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.